Welcome to the Conclave.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Conclave Podcast. Jess is laughing because I made her watch as I did the countdown that you guys don't see, that she normally doesn't see. But we found out last week actually happens.
I
Two
flipped
weeks
him
ago.
off back this time.
You flipped me off back last time, too.
Yeah, but this one was off camera.
Oh, okay. See, all right, now I understand because I didn't see that
Yeah.
one. All right, guys, thank you for coming back. We are always extremely appreciative that you do.
We're going to be talking about modern solutions for modern problems using witchcraft.
Yeah, modern approaches to witchcraft. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. My brain went fuzzy for a second there. I completely forgot what topic we were talking about.
Yeah.
We also kind of forgot completely that we were recording today. And
I didn't forget completely. It's just like I already do this stuff, so I didn't really feel the need to write it all down.
oh no, not like the prep part to it. I'm talking like the actual oh, today's the day we need to go in and
Oh,
record.
yeah. Like
So
I was prepared. It was just not
we're sitting at home and I'm like, wow, this morning seems to be taking forever
it's
before we
like,
have to
why
go
did I
in.
get up early today?
This
What were
is
we gonna do?
fantastic. I had a cup of coffee leisurely, watched a few episodes of The Flash, which if you watched it, it actually made it all the
Getting
way
awful.
through. Good on you. We're in season 7 and I'm finishing it just out of
Spite.
a little spite and a little bit of I have to. I gotta see how this ends. But anyway, we're going in directions. But yeah, so I completely forgot that today was gonna be the day that we were filming. So I in the drive-in it was like, oh no. So you know what? We tried a different setup. We're not on the couches. And to be honest with you, I kind of like this one a little bit better.
I like the
We might
couches better, but
like the
I'm
couches
more
better.
comfortable on.
That's fair. Okay, so
I like to lounge.
you do like that.
I don't like sitting upright in chairs like a normal human. It feels weird and I don't like it and it hurts my back.
You are a normal human.
I'm not.
You're really not.
if
Even saying it
if
didn't feel right
if
coming out of
we
my mouth.
were, would we be having this podcast right now?
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Define normal.
Shut up.
Okay. So I've talked myself into a corner. So let's get into the topic. This is the one thing that I say I always kind of like about folk magic the most is because it's based around using what is
Available.
available to you, it tends to mean that you find more modern solutions to the way things used to be done. It's still paying homage to and you know respecting the old ways of doing things, but I have more things at my disposal than they did 100, 120 years ago. Hell, 50 years ago, 30 years ago. You know, why wouldn't we update and move along with?
Yeah. And also, I think some of these solutions also make certain practices a little bit more disability accessible too. I think relying too much on like the old way of doing it leaves a lot of people on the fringes that don't necessarily have the ability to do certain activities. So finding solutions for that that they can access, like um, on off like one I remember seeing on TikTok years ago was somebody using a card shuffler for their tarot deck
Okay,
because they
okay,
couldn't
yeah,
shuffle.
yeah.
Modern solution for
An ancient
a
way of doing something.
so, don't always think of this as like, oh, life hack. Sometimes like things can be done because it makes it more accessible. It makes it easier for people who do not have the ability to do it a different way.
Which again, like at the heart of it all, I think that is what most folk magic practices are kind of based around.
Yeah, they're
Because
supposed to be inclusive in that aspect.
yeah, because they didn't always have,
Yeah.
and that's why you also see, traditionally speaking, and historically, maybe I should say historically speaking, you saw more of these folk magics being with the lower class,
Hmm.
and I think that's the counter to the folk magic is where we get high magic, where it was typically practiced by um, the rich and the higher class, as in
Socioeconomic class
socioeconomic, not boy they're better in class here than we are kind of a standing. Um,
versus like the working or peasantry class.
yeah, which is why then you saw fancy robes, glittery athames, intricate mirrors.
all the tools and materials, and it's like,
Kind of was birthed from that because it was their way of saying, "Ah, we're better than you."
yeah,
In reality, everything they were practicing was still rooted in the folk magic style ways. They all got it from somewhere, and since that one is newer and developed from, it's kind of hard to say. Eh.
yeah,
Now, I'm not saying one is better than the other because, in all honesty, in modern times, we've seen the
almost a
disparity of like
swap.
folk magic and high magic. We're seeing them kind of like go in the other direction. Whereas, now the tools for high magic are way more accessible, a lot cheaper. So, it's being done more by the peasant
And you're
class.
seeing more and more of these like faux priestess types that are selling folk magic for, and as we talked about this on our red
Red
flags,
flag episode.
like that are
Exorbitant
selling
amount of money.
folk magic spell work and materials for stupid money.
Stupid amount of money.
So
For just $111,
you can
you
get
too can
this.
get me to burn a candle for you.
Yeah. Or you can buy this oil or what have you. So
Yeah,
you are seeing
it's
some
kind of
of
a
that
problem.
kind of fluctuate a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But for those of us that are still down in the trenches, we find new and accessible ways to do things. And I think going along with um, your idea of finding things that are accessibility, there's a lot of rituals and workings out there that'll then tell you, okay, now go bury this at the crossroads, right?
yeah.
Take your spell, bury at the crossroads. Take your offering, bury at the crossroads. Well, what if I don't have the ability to dig down any, right? Especially now that everything is concrete and cement and
Yeah,
pavement,
especially since
it's a
a
lot
lot
more
of us are living in
difficult.
concrete jungles.
So what we have the wonderful thing, our shop, if you've never been here in physical person, and if you're in or around the Pittsburgh area, shame on you. Get your rear ends in here. I promise you, you're gonna like it. Uh, and those who can't, sorry. Uh, but there is, our shop is at a crossroad. It is at an intersection, and right at the crossroads is a garbage can, and that has become our way of burying it at the crossroads
Or disposing it of
or
at a
disposing.
crossroads.
Yeah,
And it also, again, we're not littering.
yeah,
It's going,
yeah. So
um,
while we are capable, like in the literal and physical sense, am I capable of going to a crossroads that is that would allow me to be able to dig and bury something on the side of it? Yes, I technically can, right? But what if I couldn't? Like, somebody in a wheelchair that or with like horrific arthritis of the back and the knees and the hands, which is for my
or
diagnosis is where I'm
different like
heading.
chronic illnesses where they can't.
Yeah,
And I also want to reiterate, crossroads doesn't mean where two roads meet. It means where two paths meet. So
yeah.
crossroads can be
It could be a
the path at
footpath in
the
the
end of
woods.
the path at the end of your walkway leading to your house that goes to the street or the
Yeah,
sidewalk or what have you.
yeah.
So like it doesn't have to be a street corner. It can be anywhere two paths meet, and paths include walkways, sidewalks, driveways. So they can
Hiking
be
trails.
very close and accessible.
Yes. Yeah. We're just kind of using that as as an
Yeah.
example of another fun way that I recently, and by recently I mean last night, saw a modern solution to what was turning into a problem was at the monthly energy circle that's held here at the shop. Big shout out to Trisha. She was going to be on our panel of witches for the Ask a Witch episode, but she fell ill and wasn't able to make it. She does a meditation monthly here at the shop, an energy circle at the shop, and does card readings, oracle readings more specifically, once a month. And she has been studying and growing her path to now include shamanism. So she's changed the energy circle from like an energy share and regrowth to more of a healing type side to it. Um, and she now incorporates rattles. Well, she got here last night. She started getting set up and she realized, oh, crap, I forgot my rattle. And she came out and I was talking to Heather, who you all know from the Ask a Witch episode. And she's like, I forgot my rattle. What am I gonna do? I'm sitting there in my mind like, because I'm like, oh God, do I actually have to tell her? Well, you should have enough time to get back in the car and drive all the way home and back. And that's when Heather reaches over on the counter and goes, we have a rattle right here, and held up a bottle of ibuprofen.
Well, and when we did the journey class with Thomas Mooneygold, what was that? June?
June.
Um, he didn't have enough rattles for the whole class and not enough noisemaker things for the whole class. So we have a DIY spell jar bar, which has like, I have a bunch of little like spice bottles full of crystal chips and herbs and stuff. And I was like, didn't want to grab something that was going to really affect the energy of the circle, but I was like, I've got a bottle of little quartz chips here.
Yeah.
And shake, shake, shake.
And it works. And you know what? The ibuprofen works extra well in that situation of last night because there is an element of healing to it. So if
Mhm.
we're healing and we're using medicine, modern medicine as the rattle. So it was just kind of that perfect solution, um, which I wouldn't have thought of, and I don't think Trisha would have thought of it.
But Heather was
But
just like,
Heather
you
was
know
like,
what? This rattles.
"Eureka!" Right, and she was able to get it in there. Personally, back when I used to, and I know I've mentioned that I don't practice with the moon cycles anymore, but when I did, I'd gotten a brand new deck of tarot cards gifted to me through a white elephant. Um, and I say gifted to me because the person who bought it for the white elephant gift exchange bought it knowing that I would steal it from whoever possible.
She made sure he knew which one it was. And
Yeah. And I wanted to charge it in the full moon. Like always, I completely forgot it's a full moon. At the time, I was working at a hospital and I was leaving the house at an ungodly like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning hour. And it was walking to the car. I went, oh crap, it's a full moon right now. I didn't leave it out. So what I do? The the deck was already outside in the car because I hadn't brought it in because I'm the kind that ends up hoarding things in their vehicle because they get to point A to point B and forget all about it.
it's bad.
It is. It is. It's a problem. Um,
He uses my car all the time, and he's like, "Oh, it's just because mine's out of registration." I'm pretty sure it's because he can't fit the kids in the back seat anymore.
that is 100% inaccurate. Inaccurate. And my registration is not expired. It's not. Registration's good.
Oh, sorry,
It's
the inspection.
Which is a tax on the poor. That's all I'm going to say.
Uh-huh.
Any hootie. Um, so what did I do? As I'm driving to work, and I had to, I took the highway to that job, so I knew there's going to be nothing but clear skies above me. I pulled the deck out and held it in my left hand as I cruised up the road, steering with my right.
Yeah.
Was it out as long as I probably would have liked it to have been? No, but did it get some really good direct full moon sunlight? Yeah. So you know what? If you're driving somewhere and you know you're going to get that, you need to make some moon water is another great example. I was just going to say like, hey, put the bottle of water on your dashboard as you're driving through, right?
Hell, you
That's
probably
same
have a
thing.
half a bottle on your floorboards right now that's been there for 6 months.
It's been there for since Saturday, and it's on the passenger seat.
Oh, I was talking about you in general. It's like people in general. Like that's one of those things that you're like, you do a long trip and you drink half the bottle and it rolls under the seat. And now
Yeah.
like it's been there forever. So there's a good chance like you could probably reach into your seat right now and be like, "Damn, that's going to be moon water
I
tomorrow."
thought talking. Um,
Although yes, you probably also. I'm sure I do too, but I
That's-
did just take 2 long trips for the kids.
yeah. You know, moon water is another perfect example. Do you need to have a fancy jar or anything for it? No. Chances are you've gone to the store recently. You probably have a plastic bottle of water that's sitting on the counter. Take that thing and chuck it outside in the yard.
Yeah, I literally just recycle like pickle jars and stuff, like or pasta sauce jars. Like I just throw them through the dishwasher. And guess what? Water cleanses, so I don't even need to cleanse the jar because it is now cleansed. And then I just fill it with tap water and stick it outside.
Yeah.
Like that, it's that simple. It doesn't have to be anything. If you want a cute jar, get a cute jar. Goodwill or your local thrift store, the dollar section at Target, Dollar Tree. Like you can get some really inexpensive ones that are super cute that you're not breaking the bank to acquire.
I mean, when it comes time, because we do sell moon water here at the store, and it's a weird thing to sell because it's so easy to make.
Mm-hmm.
But we do it because of a lot of people like ourselves that go, oh crap, I missed the full moon again. So we have it there just in case. And for the most part, we charge primarily just for the jar that it comes
Pretty
with.
much for the jar, and I throw a quartz chip in the bottom too.
But the way we make it, we go across the street to the Dollar General store,
Get a big old bottle of
get
distilled water.
like 2 gallon buckets or bottles of water, and we just set it in the window at the shop.
Yep.
Boom. sits through the full moon cycle, and we're good to go. Now, personally, I'm not. Now, some people are um, aware of being the sun not being able to touch their moon water. I don't necessarily subscribe to that just because it's not canceling out. It's still sunlight
Moonlight's just
reflecting off the
reflected
moon.
sunlight,
So,
so like that's
I take
doesn't.
that already at a little bit of grain of salt. So when I say, hey, take that bottle of water and just toss it outside in your yard and go get it the next morning whenever you're able to. No, I mean that's why, right? If that changes if you adhere a little stricter to the you can't let sunlight touch the bottle of moon water, right? So
Yeah. Other things I like to point out that you can do fairly easily, that have been brought to me by customers a lot of times. Step one is you don't always have to use a mortar and pestle. If you want to use a mortar and pestle, by all means, a food processor works. I'm sorry.
yeah,
And I guarantee you, if old granny, Agatha had a food processor instead of a mortar and pestle as an option, she would be fucking taking it.
100%.
Um,
I mean, heck, we use a coffee grinder when we're making our
or incense
incense.
because we're doing it in such quantities that like trying to mortar and pestle all of that would take us forever.
Mhm. Now, when I say coffee grinder, I mean it's like an
It's
industrial
an
size.
industrial one.
It's huge. It's big. So,
Um, we had a customer who lived in a dorm room. She would come in and buy her Florida water and add it to her humidifier because she couldn't burn things. So when she wanted to cleanse her space, she would put some Florida water in her humidifier
mhm.
and cleanse her dorm room that way. I would
Speaking of cleansings, there was the TikTok that went around for a while of somebody putting the abalone shell with a burning bundle of white sage on top of a Roomba and letting it go. Now, when we were laughing about that and talking about that and thinking like, that's actually a great idea, Adam, the candle maker, he pretty much just like threw it down and said, I'm going to one up you on that one. And what he does, now this is for maintenance cleanings, um,
not when you need to
not for
get
intentionally
every
trying
nook
to
and
get
cranny.
things out. And it's just like that maintenance of, oh, it's been a little while. Let's get some of the stale energy up and out of here. He would take the sage or the
Whatever bundle he
cedar,
was
whatever it
using.
was he was burning at the time, down to the basement to either the furnace or the central air, and just put it on a little table and have it burning next to the air intake. So it would get sucked up into the duct system and distributed throughout the house. Now, is that necessarily good for the furnace and for the AC? I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably
Probably
not the
not, but it's probably
greatest.
not any worse than if you smoke inside, to be honest.
That's fair.
And
That's
honestly, it's
fair.
probably a little bit better because you're not doing it every day, you're doing it on
Yeah,
occasion.
it's occasionally, so you're not going to be gunking things up if you are even doing it for many, 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 many years. But just throwing it out there that there could be some adverse reactions to the furnace or the AC unit. So don't blame me if you try it and it screws yours up. Okay, you've been warned.
One thing I always do is add a cleansing agent to my wash water for when I'm
Hmm.
cleaning. So I'm going to be mopping my floors. I'll add, a big dollop of Florida water in there. Somebody was like, "Well, I only Swiffer." She's like, "But what I can do, and you can't always get like the bottles are self-sealing, so you can't add it to the bottle." So what she does is she takes a spray bottle, and while she's spraying the floor with it with her Swiffer solution, she also sprays the Florida water down.
Yep. Now that one came from one of our listeners. So Celeste, another big thumbs up. I know we kind of mentioned it a little a couple other episodes ago, but definitely fits into this one as well. On top of that, I don't know if you've seen it. It might have gone to your junk mail, but the shop did send you that invoice. So whenever you're ready, we're ready to get it sent out to you. Okay.
Yep.
Um, boy, that's there's this is one of those kind of topics I find it almost hard to talk about because it incorporates so many ways,
Hmm.
right? I mean, even just putting cinnamon into your coffee grounds in the morning when you're brewing a pot of coffee.
Get a little abundance
Get a little
energy going.
abundance in there. The having teas and herbs are so accessible today to literally everybody that it becomes almost silly to not incorporate it into your daily life. And it doesn't even have to be in
I think a
as
lot of
tea.
kitchen
You
witchery
can
falls into this.
yeah, big time. Because you can mix that into, who doesn't have a cup of coffee in the morning? And unless you're using pods, and even like my dad has a Keurig, and his pods are
The
uh,
refillable
the
kind.
refillable kind, right? So unless you're buying nothing but store bought sealed pods, you can still work that in. You can still work
Even
that
if you're
into the
buying
system.
store-bought sealed pods, put a sigil on them before you brew them.
Put a sigil on before you brew.
Charge them before you brew them.
It's little things like this that really kind of cover in. So when you look at almost every aspect of your life, there's a way to quietly add magic into it.
Um, like looking again, and a lot of what I think we're gonna really end up discussing here anyway is cleansing and protection magic. We're talking like regular
Hmm.
spiritual hygiene. It doesn't have to be a huge ritual every time. Use soaps and hair products and things that have cleansing properties in them, not just because they're soap, but like for example, I use a rosemary and tea tree shampoo.
Yep.
That's a cleansing agent, and it also adds a little protection. If I add like a protection sigil to the outside of my moisturizer, my face cream, every time I'm putting my face cream on, I'm adding
Hmm.
protection to
I
myself.
Arlene and Heather, they'll put your protection oil into their shea butter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
as they
I mean,
rub it
it's a
on,
jojoba oil base, so it's
they're rubbing on protection for the day.
yeah.
We use Dr. whatever the heck it
Dr.
is,
Teal's.
Dr. Teal's,
They
uh,
have like a
bubble
rosemary
bath, right?
eucalyptus, that's a cleanser.
All of
Lavender,
them,
that's a cleanser, adding peace.
all of them have Epsom salt into it, so you have even more of a cleanser to it.
Yeah.
So like, hey, your weekly bubble bath, guess what? It's doing a lot more for you than just a little bit of relaxation at the end of the week. So,
Mhm.
and guys that are listening, just shut up. Stop trying to be so macho. Go have a bubble bath. They're fantastic.
And just whenever you're taking your, daily or however often you do it, shower, um, just visualize all that gunk just kind of getting off you and going down
Hmm.
the drain.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be a big ritual every time.
Yeah,
It can
it's a
just be like
visualization technique.
even in the hands off chaos magic, one of the cleansing visualizations he said it's like every time you go to the bathroom, every time you pee, imagine that because it is toxins leaving your body. Imagine the
Literally.
imagine the spiritual toxins going with it
Yeah.
and getting flushed down the toilet and pulled away from you.
Yep. Yep. 100%. Like I said, it's all so accessible these days
Hmm.
that and sometimes chastise myself because I hear these people, oh, I do this every day, I do that every day, I do and it's like, man, I don't integrate magic enough into my life apparently. Like I'm not, but I am. It's just it's all subconsciously. It's all things that have now become such habit. You don't realize you're doing most of it.
Right? Like once you start like a regular integration, it's very easy to forget what you're doing is even magical. It becomes
It almost becomes mundane.
yeah, it almost becomes like a mundane ritual of every day that doesn't necessarily lose its significance, but it does kind of become something that just you do by rote and end up like passing on to people. And at some point, your great grandkids would be like, "Well, Mima always told us to do it this way, so that's what we do." And like, they're not exactly certain why, but
So that reminds me of a story I read a couple of years ago, right? And it was a lady was making her family's meatloaf recipe for a friend, right? It was for their neighbor, and his neighbor apparently had it. It was like, oh my god, this is so good. Next time you make it, can I be there with you so I could watch? Sure. And the way the recipe worked out is, you did all your mixy, you made your loaf, and then you trimmed about 2 inches off, or an inch off of each end, right, and squared it off, and then you put it into the loaf pan and called it a day, and then you baked it and you went from there. And the friend says, like, hey, why? It sounds like a joke and a setup, but it's really not. This is from an actual cooking magazine. Uh, she's like, why do you trim the ends? Don't know. It's the way mom taught me. But it made the lady curious, so she asked her mom, why? She goes, I don't know. It's the way your grandmother taught me. So she asked her grandmother, hey, why do we do it like this? She goes, well, because when you make the loaf, it's about 12 inches long, and my pan was only 10.
like
And
it's like I was like,
that's
this
how
is gonna
family
push your
things
pan,
start.
isn't it?
Yep. That's how family, things start, which is also why folk magic is different from family to family. They all start with the same idea and the same recipe, but as it's passed down, they find ways that work best for them.
Mhm.
Right. So that's why, like when you look at Appalachian folk magic, every family you would go to is
Is doing
different.
things a
It's
little different.
secretive, And that's actually part of the reason why it's kind of dying off, because in the modern times people aren't as interested in learning about it. But what they don't realize is there's a lot of stuff that slides underneath there, just regular everyday things. It's actually witchcraft.
Well, and the reason I think sometimes it was secretive too is because, like, first off, they had to protect themselves from outsiders.
True.
They didn't want to draw too much attention to themselves.
Facts.
Secondly, they had to protect each other from themselves from other practitioners.
That's true.
I mean, it was a fairly big practice in, like, especially Central Appalachia, where, like, everybody had a little bit of something or knew a little, somebody did a
That's
little bit of something. So you didn't want to spread about what your family did for their protections, for their well-being, because somebody could use that against you.
you piss off
Yeah,
Betsy down the road, and all of a
when
sudden
it's small communities with big feuds, you don't
that
want
would
them to know
never
what you're doing and
happen.
why.
That would never happen.
Hatfields and
McCoys.
McCoys were never the thing, right?
You know what? I'll throw on top of that another potential reason why they want to keep it secret. Uh, that practice is still very much Christian.
Mhm.
They never left the Christian churches. It's all still based within a Christian religion, which is why the Bible is such a huge part,
That's
and
why you
Psalms,
see, yeah, you
and
use
you
so
wrote
many Bible verses and things
all
like
that
that.
kind of stuff. Uh, but if you tick off your neighbor, now they can call you out for witchcraft. The church is going to find out about it. It's going to be a whole to do.
I mean, that was assuming there was a church in the region at the time. Most churches were like
That's
very.
fair.
It's when you had a lot of, like. That's why you had a lot of the like the traveling revivalists and
But
stuff.
I'm talking even moving up into more modern times where there is,
That's
even like with it today,
yeah,
right? Half of what they've all, people have all learned is just family remedies
and I think
that they pointed out as witchcraft, and now it's going to start
well, and I think
an
a lot of
uncomfortable conversation.
what we see, especially in something like rural folk magic, you see. Apparently, he needed that ibuprofen rattle today.
Yeah,
Um, you see the reflections of the European roots a lot of times in that, because yeah, the cunning women and things like that were usually just practicing home remedy and superstition,
yeah,
with their little rituals. Like, I was watching one today, like, when a storm's coming, crossing the spoons. It's from Italian folk magic.
okay,
You put two spoons on, like, your counter to cross the storm, basically to cut through the storm,
okay.
so it doesn't damage your roof or your house or your property or whatever. That's an Italian thing, and it's like it's not something anybody would really notice.
Yeah, unless unless you know.
And it's, it has probably, it has roots in European, like folk magic practices and superstitions. I mean, but it's the same as like when you toss salt over your shoulder because you spilled it. It's one of those things that they
Which I
probably
can
do without really understanding the origins of
I
it.
can never remember which shoulder it's supposed to be, so I do both.
Just start throwing it everywhere.
It's
Salt is
almost like,
fine.
to be like going over kissing the cheeks. It's just in case. Let me make sure. That actually, if I remember correctly, does go back to the Fae.
Probably.
Just kind of like knocking on wood is to scare away, is to ward off and push back the Fae. So there's a lot of and let's throw that out there. How many people do witchcraft type things every day, but will condemn you for being a witch and not even realize
Happy
what they're
birthday.
doing? The happy birthday, 100%. Making,
Mhm.
wishing on candles. It's 100% candle magic.
And the incantation before it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Break down the words of the birthday
It's
song,
wishing well for the year.
which we're not going to do because that is copyright, and we're not going to take that chance.
Yeah.
Uh, I
But it's an incantation.
100%. I'll even go the daring step forward and say, go to a Catholic mass. You want to see something witchy? Go to a Catholic mass.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
That's, I think, probably 90% of the reason Protestantism rose was because everyone's like, you know what, Pope, you're kind of feeling like a witch right now. Like, this is feeling a little witchy.
You're chanting, your
You're chanting your smoke, your candles,
your smoke cleansing. You have candles. You're using sigils.
your languages nobody speaks and understands
You're
anymore.
speaking in tongues. Cannibalism. The whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the fact that they believe in transmutation,
yep, yep,
not just that it's a representation of the body of Christ, it is the body of Christ.
yep.
So, like, there's a lot of things that are like, see,
You can even look at angels, their spirit guides.
Mhm.
I don't care what name you put on it. It's essentially what we're looking at. A guardian angel is your spirit guide, essentially. There's different names for different cultures and different practices, but what they do is essentially the exact same job.
It's just Faye trying to convince you to like keep feeding them,
Cool. Well, they keep giving me advice.
right? As
They
long as the
keep
advice
helping
is good.
push down the right path. You know, as long as you're not detrimental to me, I'm gonna be good to you.
Mm-hmm.
At least I'm gonna try to be. We all fail sometimes. Um, oh boy, let's see where else can we go with this now. Let's now we're just throwing things out there. Um, a lot of superstitions come from all of this type of stuff. Including the things like um, covering mirrors for when the people die.
Mm-hmm. So that their soul doesn't get
Yeah,
trapped.
all this kind of goes back to the metaphysical world and the spiritual world and to a degree the witchcraft world.
And
So,
and there are still practices that are fairly common to find today. So
yep, yep. So, a lot of these silly traditions all came from it, just get adapted and put into everyday regular life. And, I'd like to think in the future, the things that we're kind of talking about now as ways to integrate your practice into your daily life and to make uh, witchcraft more accessible and more modern. Hopefully, that's gets ingrained in everyday life, and people just kind of keep doing it and keep going at it. I think it's going to be, a much better world and a much happier world if it's like, hey, if I just do this little thing, it's going to put a smile on my face for the day. Not knowing that, what, this was an attraction spell at one point that was just trying to call in good vibrations and happy feelings.
I will caution if you're going to be putting poisonous materials into things you would typically use in a kitchen, like when we were talking about like using the food processor.
Oh yeah, don't throw
Don't,
like belladonna in there.
yeah, like don't be putting belladonna in the food processor you also use to make coleslaw. Um,
Yeah, most everyday people, this isn't a slam to them, but coming from the professional side to it, it's recognized real fast that home cooks do not clean their equipment as meticulously.
Plastic's hyper porous. There's no
Oh,
way
there's
they
that.
could actually
Yeah,
get it out, honestly.
that's true, and the toxic level with that, yeah,
So if especially if you're using toxic or plastic
yeah.
appliances, have one that you can get like a
Get
small,
an extra one just for,
yeah,
and
you
I'm
can
not
get just
saying
a
like the
little
whole
small guy,
processor, not like a whole brand new food
a
processor,
small little spice
but
grinder or something,
you can go with that,
and leave
or
it with
just
your
get like a
altar
different
plates.
the different top attachment,
Yeah.
right? Get something and then put a little mark on it, just so that way you know which one is which.
Or, make sure when you clean it and store it with your altar space instead of storing it in your kitchen.
Yeah,
At least the part that's going to be in contact with toxic materials, because again, you don't want to risk some cross contamination with some more of the toxic materials that we will use in spellcrafting a lot of times.
yeah, yeah. Um, boy, oh boy. So we've covered, different ways to do
Mundane before
baths,
magical. Clean your shit.
cleaning your shit. We've covered sprinkling the coffee, tea,
Mhm.
using your car.
Hell, bless your coffee creamer.
Yeah. Oh, and a really good way to bless your coffee creamer without actually having to do anything to it. You pour the first bit out for the fae, or for the
Mhm.
gods, or for whoever it is that you might want to give it to.
Yeah.
Especially if you do practice more on the lines of like the Irish folk magics, or Irish paganism, or Scottish. I refuse to say Celtic.
He gets so mad about the Celtic nomenclature.
If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. But Celtic is nothing but a description for a similar style of language. It's like it's like the category of the Romantic languages, right? That's what the Celtic countries, and I'm air quoting Celtic countries, have in common. It's a similar language structure, right? It's not a cultural structure. It's not a religious structure. It's not an anything of that type such. So
Especially when you consider like what we consider Celtic, what modern pagans would consider like a Celtic country today, or a Celtic background today. They didn't have an overarching culture. They
no,
were very regionally
yes,
situated because those countries didn't exist as a country entity. It was this tribe or this smaller nation or this smaller region. Like it wasn't
yes and
a
no.
large. Ireland's a bit different,
What
in
I was
my
gonna say,
opinion,
like, I
because
can
they're already a small region. Like,
yeah.
because it's already a smaller space, they're fairly isolated. There was already like a cultural identity for that island.
So, yeah, so I read Irish history. I'm still working through, but I've gotten past, like, this time of, um, history, so I can somewhat speak on, not as an expert, but as somebody who's read a bit. Um, so Ireland, the way it was structured is it had its individual clans, its counties, its regions. Originally it was just the four areas, right?
Hmm.
Um, and each had, you had your clans, and you had your king for that region, and that was what you really kind of worried about. However, they did always have, like, the one king of kings, right? And they sat on
Like
the
an
hill of Tara.
overarching.
They had an overarching king. So, yeah, was it individual groups and areas? Yes, but they did have a one overall over the island.
I'm talking more
So,
along the overarching greater European region. We're
oh
not.
yeah, yeah,
I honestly don't even typically consider Irish kind of part of that for the most part. They didn't have a lot to do with everybody else if they could avoid it. Um,
can you blame them?
but I'm talking about things like the Bretons and the Welsh. You can see when the Welsh have influence over
Yeah, yeah,
certain parts of British culture and certain parts of, and vice versa. Same with the Scots.
hmm
You see it with the Gauls. You see it with some of the Germanic tribes. Like you can see some of these overarching bleed in, but you can see where they came from region to region. It's like, oh, we start to see Danu entering more into like the Gallic regions after there's been some um
yeah.
overreaching or some, cultural exchange with a different region.
And I
So
and I
it
think I think that's why it bugs me more than anything, because they're gonna call it the Celtic gods and goddesses, as if it's one pantheon, and it's
and
not.
it's
What they're
not.
doing is they're taking, you know 5, 6 different countries, shoving them all together, and acting as if it's one pagan religious structure point. But it's the same as saying, like, okay, so because Portugal, Spain, France, and Germany are all roughly in the same area, boom, now they all have the same gods. And it's not.
And I think we get a lot of that from like the Roman expansion.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
that, this is just French so and so, or this is just German so and so, or this is just Nordic so and so, or this is just Irish so and so. We see a lot of that conflation happening, I think, specifically because of the Roman expansion. And that's how they viewed.
yeah, and
So
that's
they'd come across a shrine to say Odin, and then they'd be like, you know what, this guy sounds an awful lot like Mercury. So we're gonna pop him on there too.
yeah, and no,
And
and I agree with that, and you're 100% right. Um, but I think that's kind of like that's a separate issue,
yeah,
right? Because they still, I read one crazy thing that tried to say Lu was the same as Loki. And it's just like, no,
I think they'd have
right?
fun together, but I don't think.
And that, equating the gods, or saying, like, oh, well, this god is also the god for over here, which is also the god for over there. That's definitely Romans. Like, we actually know that historically,
Yeah, because
where
they
they're just
slapped
like,
their names
we're
on
not
everybody
gonna,
else's shrines
yeah, and,
every.
and it was like, hey, we're not gonna bother relearning everybody else's gods just so we can tell to our populace so they understand it. We're just gonna tell our populace, oh no, this is Apollo.
But I think because a lot of, especially Americans, they come into ancient mythology through the Greeks. I mean, we
Yeah,
saw it with even the American public school system. Fourth grade, our daughter was learning Greek mythology. So
which was really
because
cool.
they start there and then they learn that, like, oh yeah, Romans basically just copied off the Greeks, like literally word for word the test, and then just changed the names a little bit to make it sound right to them. And then they took those and they just spread it. So I think a lot of what we're seeing in neo-paganism is because of how we are initially introduced to ancient mythology.
Yeah, and I think it also comes to, like, saying, like, oh, well, these countries are so similar and they're so small, and whatever, we'll just lump them together.
Yeah, or like who
But it's
cares?
it's not one of those things where we're seeing gods being equated to each other. It's We're seeing the Tuatha, the gods of Ireland, uh, being
Shoved
shoved
into the Gallic,
into with the Gallic gods
the
and the
Welsh.
Welsh and the Scottish, as if it's one they're all still being recognized as individual gods. I'm not saying they're not equating them to each other. They're just saying, like, here's this big pantheon.
And it's like that's way too many
And
gods,
it's like,
first off. Like,
no, no. Are there similarities? Are there probably like
Well, there's definitely some crossover,
like Heather and I were talking about the Kalia,
yeah.
right? And she was saying like she crosses over in Ireland, but that's not the same Kalia. And I was like, well, it's probably throughout history the names were very similar because Gelga and
Gallic.
Gallic are very very similar, right? So we have these two names that look almost identical. They're like, oh well, they're talking about the same. Historians were like, oh well, they're talking about the same person,
Yeah.
right? So now we have the goddess that transfers between the two, and it probably wasn't the case. Now there was travel between Ireland and Scotland way, way, way back, right?
hmm
So there's possibilities that the stories did kind of leak together a little bit in cultural exchange type of a thing, um, but I don't think it's in the way that we now want to think of it as.
Yeah.
So I
Well, that
think
was way off
history is kind
topic.
of well, you know what? We did kind of say we're going to just let this conversation
It was like
grow and
modern
change.
solutions. Let's talk about ancient mythology. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I swear to God, you get this man started on Irish anything, and you just got to stop and like let him go, and for a little bit until you have to yank him back. Like, all right, we need to move on.
Give me the rope to hang myself, and I guarantee you, I will. Right? We got there organically. It's not gonna just like
Yeah,
overtook.
no, but like
Give me
the
a
minute
little
you
further.
get there, it's like, okay, now we're gonna go down. It's like we didn't really need to go down this road the whole today, but I guess that's what we're doing now.
Welcome to a peek into our at-home conversations.
Yes,
We will start, and it's not just when it comes to the metaphysical world; it's with everything.
everything.
We'll start with one topic, and next thing you know, 40 minutes later, we're rambling in something completely different. Trying to figure out how we got
Arguing and yelling at each other, but we're agreeing at the same time. So it makes no sense. Like there's just a lot of screaming for no
there. That
reason.
makes no, but that makes sense to me because my dad and I are the exact same way. We'll agree on everything, but we will have a very loud conversation about it because you're just like amping each other
It's
up.
like that dude
And then people are like, "Oh my god, they're
drowned in a
fighting!"
bubble, and her sister is a witch. We have a lot of those conversations.
What's best is like if it does actually get to a point where it is almost angry and confrontational, like she'll go outside for a cigarette or something, and either her or I will open the door, and be like, "I love you still. You're wrong, but I love you." Slam.
And you'll hear a fuck. I made it a long time.
Wow. Hey, I would say 42 minutes in, but there's a chunk in the beginning of a good like 30 seconds to a minute where my brain froze and there's like dead air. That's
Yeah, he
getting
had to
edited
reboot
out.
for a second.
I had to reboot. So yeah, about 42 minutes in before you drop that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That might be a new record.
it's pretty much the end of the like. We almost got to the end on that one.
We really did almost get to the end.
But I'm
That is
not
really
letting a single episode go without dropping an F bomb or two or seven.
That's fair.
It's not going to happen.
1, 2, or 7. Okay. That's still a reduction in normal conversation.
I didn't say it though.
For all of you who are listening and not watching, I once again got told I was number one, and I got to see a bird be released freely.
You're
So,
number one.
so what are there any other ways that you can think of modern solutions to witchcraft?
Hoarding your cars.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that can be done, crystals, sigils, oils, whatever, but like hoard your cars. You're spending especially people who have to commute a lot, especially in the US, like you're spending a lot of time in that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ward it against getting pulled over, ward it against accidents, ward it against just whatever you think you're going to come into contact with. So
Yeah, and you know what? If and when you're doing that, and you don't want it flopping around, or you don't want it all that noticeable, pick up on the floor mats, put it underneath, put it down on top of.
put it
You know,
in
that's
the
that's kind of another thing. Even when it comes to the house, one of our friends, they will put wardings
oh
and
yeah,
protections or piles of salt or whatever underneath their welcome mat.
she wrote an entire psalm on the back of her. It's not a welcome mat. It doesn't say welcome, but the mat in front of her front door. She wrote the entire like an entire psalm on the
Mm-hmm.
back of it laid it down. There we go.
Protection sigil. So, okay, let's talk about welcome mats real quick because that's a modern solution to an ancient problem. It's just not our solution.
It was the face solution. Like, let's let them welcome us in.
It's a fae solution. It's a vampire solution.
Which is, to me, like a vampire is, it's got to be some kind of fae. I'm sorry. I don't believe they're undead. I think they're some kind of fae.
No, I don't think it's undead. I think it is a different type of life.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Irish fae. They're not the only fucking ones. There's my two.
Lord. And I'm the one that gets overly passionate out of nowhere. They're also, and this is sad but true. They're also solutions to human criminals. There has been an argument in court, and if I remember correctly, the person got off on this.
They had a welcome mat.
They had a welcome mat. It said, "Welcome, come on in." So I took him seriously. Don't get a welcome mat. Don't get a mat that says, "Come on in" or "You're welcome." Yeah, no. Like ours at home is something along the lines of,
dog can't hold its liquor.
dog can't hold its liquor. Here at the shop we use different ones. Saying hello is fine. So hello witches or hi, how are you?
Actually, we do have a welcome mat at the shop. It says welcome witches now, but
That
it has a very specific welcome to a very specific type of person.
Yeah. So if you do want to be welcome, make sure you're using it specific. But that's an example of a modern solution that can go against you.
You're going to start getting very hyper specific ones that just have a list of their friends. And it's the only people that are welcome. Like, welcome Andy Dufresne. Welcome Andy.
My mat would be empty.
Yeah, I don't want people in my house. I'm sorry. I don't.
Mm-mm. It's my safe haven. I love you all, but I get tired and cranky. You don't want to see me at home.
I spend little enough time at home to want to spend it being social. If I want to be social, they can find me here. They can invite me out somewhere. I don't want to be social with people that I might have to clean up after.
So if you've been one of those people who have had the invite over to our house, you should feel special.
Right? Otherwise, like, I don't want to do
Or
this and load of dishes.
you could probably also feel cursed because, it's us. So
But yeah.
not in a way that we're cursing the people. It's that you're stuck with us, and I'm sorry you have to be suffering with us.
You're stuck with us now. We're your problem.
We are your problem.
All right.
And on that note, I think we've covered. It's gonna be a little bit of a shorter one this time around, but that's okay.
It's fine. You don't have to listen to us ramble for hours.
We could. I mean, we can go right back into the side conversations, but we're gonna stop right there.
We're gonna save you from me telling Pat to land the plane.
Yeah, that, and it's coming up on lunchtime, and
we're about to get two kids over here like rattling their bowls, and I want to go get some poke from the place down the street. Shout out to Lucky Bites, Bellevue, Pennsylvania.
One of the brand new restaurants that have moved into the neighborhood. Anybody that's again, if you're living around this area, come check out Bellevue. We got some really cool stuff coming in. We got some cool stuff that's been here. It is quite literally the best little section of Pittsburgh, period. Mm-hmm. I'll die on that hill.
He's a big fan.
And we don't even live in Bellevue.
No,
we live down the street in a different borough. So that tells you. All right, guys, you be good. Find your own modern solutions. When you think of, or if you have anything that is really creative or just you want to brag about doing at all and think other people can integrate it in their daily life, go ahead and shoot us an email at the.Conclave.Podcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at the exact same handle. YouTube with the same. We use it for all.
Yeah, we try to keep it simple.
I have a bad memory, so it's all named the same, so that way I can't forget. And like, share, subscribe, smash that follow button, do all those key things that every podcaster pretty much ever has asked you and requested you to do. For those who have been voting along with the Pittsburgh City Paper Best of, which we are up for top 5 podcasts, we thank you very much. By the time this airs, all voting is completed. So thank you so very much. We do appreciate your support. And on that note, bye.
Until next time.